Welcome to the Crypto Rainn channel. I'm your host, Jay Rainn, and it is a very big deal that Bitcoin just broke its previous all-time highs. And that's exciting because what we're going to see in the coming 3 months, I have waited 3.5 years for. And you are right here, right now, and there's no better time to be here in crypto. Today we have our expert technical analysis price reader looking at charts that has 30 years experience in this, and we're going to be going over what's going on with Bitcoin and a lot of the altcoins out there. But if you're here now, I'm so glad you're here now versus 3 months from now, because now is the best time to be positioning yourself so that the next 3 months are amazing for you. Now, if you're a subscriber to the channel, you know that 10 days ago we called this coming with Bitcoin, and that it's got a lot more upside coming from here. So subscribe and hit that all notifications button if you don't want to miss out on all of our predictions that more often than not are very, very right, because I'm not new in investing either. This is my 24th year in investing, just 4 years in crypto. And so you get a benefit from somebody who's been in the space for a long time. So let's go ahead and get this party started, because I'm really excited with what we're talking about with you today. Join me, Rainmakers. Definitely join us. And if you haven't already, join our Telegram group below, because that's where I interact with you on a frequent basis. I'm in there sometimes multiple times a day. I have great community members that are in there too, looking for breakouts and other things. So subscribe. If you haven't got a Telegram account yet, pretty easy and simple to set up, but that's where a lot of crypto is discussed on a day-to-day basis. So without further ado, let's go ahead and welcome our guest, Paul from Definity, who is our expert chart reader.
Hi guys, how you doing? It's great to be here. Great to be back.
Paul, thank you so much for joining us. I am so excited to have you on today with Bitcoin breaking its previous highs.
Absolutely. It's an amazing move, but we did, like you said in the intro, we did talk about it. We have been talking about a straight line move up once it broke through the 5,400 level, 54,000, I should say, going up towards 100,000 and beyond. Now, whether that will be a straight line or not, we'll have to see, because I think there will be a move out of the majors into the altcoins. So we'll see a bit of a correction in Ethereum and in Bitcoin, but that's really still great news for all these underlying altcoins. It means that there's going to be some fantastic breakouts. And it's not a time to go on holiday. It's a time to keep an eye on your charts. So we'll have a look at some of those here. But I think there's going to be quite a few opportunities to uncover in the coming weeks and months.
Yeah, so for those that are like fans of sports and everything, if you think about it, there's baseball season, there's preseason stuff, and football, there's the regular season. Right now is crypto season, and in the coming maybe if we're lucky, it'll go 6 months, where you're going to see some stuff that's absolutely amazing. Now, prepare yourself emotionally for it, because my gosh, you'll wake up every morning early just so you can check and see where your portfolio is, and it's going to be a consistent adrenaline rush followed by adrenaline letdown, followed by adrenaline rush, and it's going to be fun and exciting. I joined crypto and really got into it exactly this time 4 years ago, and I was there to catch a couple months of a massive run and saw how exciting it can be. But I was smart enough that I stuck around during the crypto winter, and I placed a lot of investments during that time, which has already created life-changing wealth for me, just with the gains that we've had since the crypto winter. But the massive parabolic move comes at the very end, and my guess is that massive move is this next 3 to 4 months. And so what's happened, all the gains that have happened until now, will look small compared to what we might see in the coming 4 months.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it feels like things are just getting going. Things are just starting to move. And if you're wondering about whether you've missed the boat, which I always wonder about, I wondered about that in technology, and you're going to laugh. In 2004, I was looking at the online space in terms of people buying things online, and I just thought, well, everybody's talking about this, so perhaps I've missed the boat. And then you roll forward and you see how the business developed and how Amazon developed from there. We're so early on this stuff that there's going to be some absolutely massive moves. and the general public are just completely unaware. They've heard of Bitcoin, they haven't heard of any of these technologies. I know from my own family that many people in my circle of, brothers and sisters and other people, they don't talk about this stuff. They don't look at it. They don't realize, and they don't think it's an alternative. So there is so much more life-changing technology out there that will, as Crypto Rainn says, create life-changing wealth. So it's a really good time to be focused on this, and nothing goes in a straight line, but we will try to pick out the best opportunities. So I think we should really go to the charts if you're okay with that.
Let's jump right into it.
Jump right into it. So let's see. I'm going to start off with my my picks, which are I've got a few. So I've got my little crypto list of the main ones. It's just happened to be on Cardano, which, if you look at this chart here, I like this because it's in a technical. Have you got me?
There we go. It jumped to full screen. I've got you.
Okay, great. Yeah. So what we've got here is Cardano. And the setup here is a triangular constriction. Now you're going to see that again in just a moment. You see why this is such an important setup. So we've got this sharp upward move, this consolidation, the highs and the lows constrict to a point, and then we start to get the breakout. Now, by the time the video is processed and all this sort of stuff, this could be much higher, but this is starting to break out. It doesn't look like it's done anything different to these previous bars, but the point is that with everything else moving, this is going to catch up. So show you why that's important. Let's go to Solana. Solana has already broken out and is breaking out even further. So we've had the consolidation, we had the sharp move and the sideways move, and now it's moving off again. So I think this is going to head to the 216 high, and it should break that for an extended move. How far it will go, I don't know, but it should at least go some of the similar distance that it's gone here. So there is still significant upside to be had, potentially. Of course, this is all probability. We don't know for sure, but these patterns are coming all together and pointing to more upside. So we had a request regarding regarding DOT. So we had that, I think, perhaps on our channel, but it may have been on Crypto Rainn's channel as well. But either way, I just wanted to show you a very similar setup where we've got this consolidation, and now the market is going for a new high. So these markets are off their highs. They're not actually at them yet, so they're playing catch up. But what I like to see is a very strong upward move, consolidation, and this area here is a little consolidation called a flag, and then a very sharp upward move again. So we're about to see acceleration in this price action. Now it's all being driven by Bitcoin. So Bitcoin is at the top. It's broken its new high. We got the breakout all the way down here, just over 44, I think it was the breakout point. That was just a 1 week breakout point, which extended so fast. We were saying, look, there's something going on here. This is off to the races. It took out the 5,400 level. I keep calling it that, although it's 54,000. So this level here was the main line that once it had broken, we thought this is really telling us that the market wants to go much, much higher. Now, there is potential for a retracement, as I mentioned earlier. I think that retracement will be moving out of these coins into some of the altcoins. So you will see a pullback. I think we will see a pullback in this. So those who've waited for a high break might get slightly caught out, and they may exit the position, and then we'll be getting back in again. So that's a possibility. I can't predict every single move. It's nobody can. It's impossible. But I have a feeling that that's the way this might play out. So I'll be thinking about a pullback and then another move upwards. But the excitement, and what's always been the case from when we first started talking about this on this channel, has been that the altcoins have always looked interesting in one form or another. They've always showed something interesting in their setups. So I'm going to switch out of these majors, and we can go to some of the coins that are looking interesting, both from our own point of view and the coins that you've asked for. And also, just want to say a big thank you for doing that, because it really helps to see what's on your radar, to see what may go onto everybody else's radar a little bit further down the pipe. So
Yeah. Let me say, I just wanted to share some thoughts really quick
yeah,
about
please
this in
do.
general. I know many of the viewers out there, this is your first time being in a massive bull cycle. Now, a few of you got a little glimpse of that in February and March, which was exciting. And if you look back at the charts, February and March had a pretty big run, and it was exciting. But what's coming is probably 3 times the size of what happened there. So you're well positioned to catch this very well if you've already placed your positions. Now, some people are positioning in Bitcoin, and that's fine. Bitcoin from here could, if you're really lucky, go 2 or 3 or 4x. My guess is 3x from here. And compared to stocks, that's some pretty amazing gains. Where can crypto, like some of these altcoins we're going to look at, go from here? Well, some of them can go 10x, 50x, or 100x. So my personal positions are placed in altcoins. Now, I have a higher risk tolerance. What your risk tolerance is up to you, because here on the channel, and Paul and myself, we're not financial advisors. We're not giving you financial advice. We're telling you how we look at things as seasoned investors, what we think about, how we analyze it, and what decision we're making for ourselves. What decision you make, that's up to you for that decision. And so we can't tell you what to do, but we can share with you what we're looking at, what we like, and what we're doing. And then you can do your own research and place your own positions and make your own bets. So I like Bitcoin. I love what's going on here. Bitcoin usually tells you where altcoins are going to go from here. And so Bitcoin is taking off to the races. That's great news for all my altcoin positions. That means in the coming weeks and months, it's going to be a really good time for them.
Yeah, and look how smooth that upward trend is. That's what we're looking for. We're looking for an uninterrupted, smooth upward trend. Now, when you see a consolidation like a triangle, that can go on for a few weeks and sometimes a few months as well. I don't mind those because that gives you a bit of time to go on the sidelines and then wait for the next big breakout. But the best part of trading is when you get these very smooth moves, and more often than not, people won't want to buy into them because they're afraid that they're buying the new high, and that's an understandable situation. But when the market is moving, it's moving, and we got to move with it. So it's also important not to miss the boat. But time frame is important too, as Crypto Rainn was saying. We got to think about what time frame you're trading in. Now, I think if you hold things for 2 years, we'll see them much higher. But that's that really depends on your own desires when it comes to how long you want to hold, you want to trade the market. And of course, some of these technologies are going to shake out in the sense that some will be winners and some won't, and that's also an important element with regard to the whole picture. And if you look at the beginning of the internet, when we saw lots of internet stocks that were competing for the same space, they didn't all survive, but the ones that did went massive. So, we can't predict with 100% certainty which ones they're going to be, but we can go along for the ride while they're going up. And we can see technical signs to tell us that the ones that aren't working, will fall to the wayside. Unless, of course, you've got really great insight into those technologies, which is what you get here on this channel. So I can't do that. I can't do the fundamental research, but I can certainly do the technical research. So the first one that we're going to look at is Proton, because this was one that I think we discussed on the first breakout, because it was the one that I actually wanted to buy. I saw this little triangle pattern. I think I'm obsessed with triangles, but I do like the triangle pattern. And it just looked like this was setting itself up for acceleration. Now, last week, I believe we talked about how it would react at the high, and it did react. It did come off. Now, I thought we might get a little bit more of a consolidation before it went up again, but I was still bullish, and I still think it will go higher. And it's moved very nicely. Now, there has been very little retracement here. So possibly come back to this 0.03 level to retest it, because when the market breaks an important level, sometimes it comes back for a retest. But this price action doesn't quite look like it wants to do that. It feels like it wants to squeeze up even more in an extended move. Now, I did buy some of this, so I feel as though I like to be as neutral as possible where possible, but I did buy some of this. So, that sort of colors my view a little bit, or it might do. So I don't want to say, too much about it being bullish, because it might look like I'm just talking my own position, and I don't want to do that. But from a technical point of view, there isn't any sign as yet that there's a reversal. And therefore, this trend is still looking good. So as long as it can hold over this 0.03 level, in fact, even if it got a little bit below that, I wouldn't be concerned until it came back below the 0.015, I think. And then I'd be thinking, what's it doing down there when everything's going up? So for the moment, that's still looking pretty good.
Yeah, this is great. And we covered this breakout. So is now a good time to buy? Well, that's a question you have to answer for yourself. It's not as cheap as it was. It's still showing signs that it may run from here some more. The best time to buy it was when Paul and I covered it before, which is when he made his entry positions. So can you make some gains from here? Probably, but it's not certain. And the think of it like this: the more it's already gone up, the higher the risk of. Have you ever stood on a frozen lake? And standing on a frozen lake, often you're fine, but as that ice gets thinner and thinner and thinner is when your risk gets higher. So the higher something pumps as it reaches new things, just think of the ice getting thinner, and you don't want to be on the ice when the ice breaks. And so for somebody who made some good entry positions at, say, 0.65 cents, now is a good time that they're actually maybe selling off a little bit to get their whole initial back out so that they have zero risk at all, and they're riding this up further because they position themselves well. Now, I know when we're new in crypto, we want to chase green candles, and this is exactly what green candles look like. Now, it's nice that the chart is signaling that probably there's some more ride here. But if you think it's going to go directly from here to 100x from here, I don't know. I don't know how it'll play out. But this is not a bad one for those that have the risk tolerance, that you might try to catch some of this. If someone's going to try to catch some of this, if I were playing this from here, what I would play it like is I'd put my position in. When it doubled from there, if it doubled from there, I'd take out my whole initial. I'd let the rest ride a little bit, and then I would cash that out too, and I would roll it into something that hasn't pumped yet. Just how I would be playing it myself from this point. It's not telling you what to do, because that's up to you.
Yeah, I had a look, a brief look, because I only get these charts just before we go on air, and I had a brief look, and there are some that haven't gone yet that look like they might be ready to go. So there's some different stages of this move. There's some that are just about breaking out, there's some that have already broken out, and there's some that are kind of lagging and still need a bit of a boost to get moving. But let's look at the next one, because I think that falls into this category. It's Vent, I believe.
Finance, yep.
Vent Finance. Yeah, so that is I think we talked about this before. I seem to remember we did discuss it. Now, if memory serves me, I'm still not quite ready to buy this because the trend is still down. I'm looking for a bit more evidence that this wants to break out. I mean, its highs are getting lower and the lows are getting lower. So this is still in a downward trend. But, I think this is happening to a few financial-based coins that are probably under a bit of a cloud, but I think that cloud would lift. So at some point, this is going to break out and go back up. It's just not technically verifying it quite as yet. So I'll let you give your view. But for me, this needs to break this trend line properly before I can get excited. So I think it might get a bit cheaper. And if the technology is good, you'll be able to pick it up at lower levels. But then when it turns, and as you were saying before about we should be looking at breakout levels, this would definitely be on the radar because it's got a lot of catching up to do.
Yeah, exactly. This one to have on the radar to be looking for that break up. It's not yet ready for that. It's not showing signs. With that said, when I say I'm usually right, I am. Because we covered this. Do you see on the left part of the screen where it shows this? It actually, before it was at 30 cents, it was actually at 25 cents. It's not showing on the chart. And that's when I cover this. And I know some of my audience decided to follow me and buy it. And it went crazy from there. So if they took out their initial, they're 100% solid because it went 4x from that 25 cents mark. during a time when most things weren't booming at all. And so they got some massive gains. If they smartly took some profits out, then they've got a risk-free bag to ride this. Plus, they have their whole initial capital that as this comes down, if it comes down some more, they can place that in and take the ride again.
Yeah, and the other thing is the rate of decline is eased. It's eased a little bit in terms of, look at how it's gone up and you look at how it's gone down. It went up very fast, so it's having a bit of a correction. So this was ahead of the game in terms of the breakout. Now it's coming back down. If it was falling as fast as it went up, it would suggest to me that everybody's just bailing out wholesale. But it doesn't look like that. It looks like it's got a more steady decline. So I'm a bit more optimistic that we will see this trend line break. It's just that I've got to wait a bit longer before we say let's do it.
Now, personally on this one, I haven't sold a penny of it yet, and I'm probably not going to be selling a penny of it till it's over $1.50, or actually when it breaks these previous all-time highs. I think it really did wick up to $1.50, even though the chart doesn't show it. And I was tempted then to take some profits out, but they are a launch pad for Cardano. They recently launched, so they've got a very smart team, some good relationships in the Cardano ecosystem. And as they have some really solid launches and the market gets hot, these launch pad projects, especially if they have a good team and they're getting some of the best launches, will get super hot. The demand for their tokens will go crazy because you have to hold their tokens in order to be able to get into the initial DEX offering or the initial launches of the projects that come through them. And so as the market heats up, demand for these tokens will go sky high and the supply will stay roughly the same. Probably they have some pre-sale unlocks every so often that a little bit will be released into there, but demand will vastly exceed supply, and then the price will reflect it. Where I really start taking profits on this is $6 and above. That's when I start saying, okay, wow, yeah, I'm going to just sell off a little bit because I don't know where the top is, but at $6 when I get serious about taking some profits on this. Now, thankfully, that's 10x from here. So will it come down lower? It's suggesting, the chart is, that it is going to come down lower from here. That's fantastic. We like to buy low so that we can sell high, right? And as simple as that sounds, you will be shocked as you learn how few people do it. That's what we talk about on this channel, is helping you kind of buy low and sell high, because honestly, as human beings, what we normally do on a chart like this is we're tempted to buy it when it breaks $1 and we're like, oh my gosh, it's just going to keep going up. And that's the normal human reaction we feel as we chase these green candles. When was it a good time to buy? At 25 cents. When was it a good time to maybe take your initial out? At $1. Yeah. So as it's going down like this, the human reaction is, oh my gosh, it's going to keep going down to zero. I don't want to touch it. Well, we don't know how far it's going to keep going down, but at some point this bottom will probably create a nice little rounded bottom, which will give us an indicator that it's ready to run again, and then it will break up, and that is a fantastic time to be getting in. Sometimes when I see that rounded bottom, I already start putting some positions in.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, to be honest, every trader and every investor does things slightly differently. And there are very few who would trade in the way that Crypto Rainn trades. I love your confidence in the way, when you see a technology and you see it go down, you get excited because you're thinking this is cheaper, which is actually very much, if you study Warren Buffett, that's what he does with stocks. So he gets excited when the stocks he likes get cheaper. Now, I have to say that's, that does take a lot of courage to get in. I personally find that when things are going down, I'm on the sidelines, but I would like to join something when I see it finding support. But I wish I wish my mind worked differently and I could be a bit more like Crypto Rainn and do a bit of the fundamental analysis, because then, perhaps I should try and combine the two. But unfortunately, I think we're all set in our ways in certain ways, and so I think I'm going to stick to the charts. But I'm learning stuff here as well. You're never too old to learn. You can't be, you can be in the markets for a very long time. And you still learn stuff. So we're all always learning, and nobody knows everything, and that's for sure. But this is really interesting stuff. Now, Poco's the next chart that has been asked. And again, this is look at this chart compared to Bitcoin, compared to some of the other ones that we looked at. It's still, unfortunately, trying to find its low, and there isn't. Let me just change that to auto. So yeah, it's still finding its low. So this is getting cheaper. And again, I'd have to defer to find out if there's something that would encourage buying it before it goes, I mean, I'm not saying it's going to go to zero, but I would just want to know whether there's something fundamentally good about it that would then turn around and warrant sort of nibbling at lower levels or holding it. So technically still not good, unfortunately, still going down. But what would change my view is if it could break this trend line, and it would do that, and it would break a good resistance line if it could get over this 0.26 level. So 0.26 is the turning point for me. So I would put that in as a breakout level, and I'd just keep an eye on it and have it in on the radar as something that could be interesting, but isn't quite interesting yet.
Yeah. So I'll tell you why I'm really liking where it's at now, and it might come a little bit lower. I hope it does. But I just Googled Poco Land IDO price. Now, Poco, this is a gaming project, and I'm really hot on some of the crypto gaming projects. I think a lot of money is going to flow that way because so much money is already flowing to gaming, and as people get a hold of crypto the next 3 months, first they're going to come in through Bitcoin, and then they're going to gravitate within the altcoin space to things that they can easily understand. It's going to be easier to understand video gaming space for a lot of people, so they're going to gravitate towards these. Now, I always like to get an idea when projects come out. They often go through this initial pump, and you see it went all the way to $5. It's retraced all the way to 21 cents. That is amazing, because I Googled Poco Land IDO price, and their IDO, where you could have bought it at the initial DEX offering, 10 cents. So we're getting really close to that IDO price, and that IDO price is often the floor, but it sometimes never comes all the way down to there. Now, in fact, that was the pre-sale price at 10 cents, it says on this. The listing price was at 12 cents. So it's only 2x from the listing price. And for me, on projects that I like, even if I don't like them for forever, but I like them for the time frame and the narrative that they're in, say the next 3 months, which this is one I really like for the next 3 months. Really exciting to me that it's come close to IDO price, because that's when I get excited to buy. And the reason it's getting so cheap is, where is 95% of the herd going right now? Well, they're actually selling their alts and rolling it into Bitcoin. And they're doing that late. The time to do that was 10 days ago. Now they're chasing green candles, and they're selling their alts at lows to people like me in order to chase Bitcoin at 65,000, when they probably should have considered selling, say, this when it was at 80 cents if they were lucky enough to get it the IDO, or even sooner if they could have, and then rolled it into Bitcoin when Bitcoin was 45,000, instead of now selling this at lows at 21 cents so that they can buy Bitcoin at 65,000. So my mentor in real estate investing said it's as simple as this. I find out what 95% of people are doing, and I don't do that. And I absolutely subscribe to this. And that's what's led me in the past 3 years to go from thousands of dollars to millions already. And do you realize we haven't even hit the massive wave yet? So what I'm sharing with you and how I think about things works. So Poco, extremely exciting at this price. And I think it's going to get a little bit more exciting, because I don't think we're quite yet seeing the bottom. And that's when I load up.
Interesting. Okay, so OMI, now I think
Not this one. Yeah, it's ECOMI.
ECOMI, yeah,
ECOMI USD.
yeah. That's it. So this again is one that we liked. We liked on this breakout, and let me just get a horizontal line to show you where that is. So this was a really lovely level. Look at how it's respected. So it was resistance, bang on resistance, bang on resistance, broke out, touched it again, consolidated, and then pushed up again. Now, this has been ahead of the curve. So this has moved before, quite a lot of the other, coins. So this has had a fairly decent run, and it's getting a bit of profit taking. But there's still support, and the trend is still up. So I think, just keep going with it. The trend line is still a very decent upward trend line. And but percentage terms, it's moved a huge amount. But overall, there's nothing really to say other than, the trend should keep going. Now, there's a little bit of volatility here and a little bit of a pullback, given everything else is moving up. But I'm not too worried about that because, as I say, and as Crypto Rainn has said, there will be a move from Bitcoin into these altcoins. This one has already moved, and it just may get another wave. But it's in a solid position because it's above this 0.0048 level, which was its breakout point. So whilst it's above that, as long as it's not making any reversal patterns and showing signs that there's a top, I'm staying with this trend.
So I have some of my bags loaded with ECOMI. Now, if you've followed this channel for a while, I've been talking about it for a very long time. In fact, we were talking about it on this ride down. I know a lot of my community loaded up in this zone here. And so some of my community even take a little bit of profits. Now, I am not selling off a single ECOMI yet. No, because I know the fundamentals behind this one very well. And they have a VV app that you can download on your phone. You can get some of the best licensed NFTs out there. We're talking about DC, Marvel. They continue to sign the biggest licenses in the whole crypto space as far as licensed NFTs go. And they're going to be creating a VV universe called the VVverse. They have so much coming down the line. They're about to make a major switch, and so they'll be able to get their token on a lot of the major exchanges. And so I think we haven't even seen anything yet with this one.
Amazing. Yeah, I mean, the story behind it is very compelling. But yeah, and the chart looks good. So, yeah, keep going with that.
One thing to note on this is the market cap is already 1 billion. So we're not talking about a small market cap coin. So can this go to 100 billion? It could. It's possible. It's less likely than some of the other ones that have a market cap at, say, 10 million. But I have a lot of this because, I'm happy if it only goes 20x, or if it goes 50x, or it goes 100x from here, fantastic. But I feel strong at this one performing very well. And so I placed a lot of my positions on this one just because I know it so well and I feel confident. For me, this isn't even risky for my risk tolerance. So this is one of my non-riskier investments. It's okay if it doesn't go 100x from here. Now, could it? It could. Will it? We'll see. 3 to 4 months, it's going to do some massive things, and even maybe longer than that as its VVverse comes out. So I'm very excited to see where this one's going.
Yeah.
This one, just watch. In the next 2 months, you're going to see incredible things from the price on this.
Yeah, I mean, that must have taken a lot of guts to be buying it down. I don't know if it was down at these lows. I mean, around here, there was more evidence of buying. So it did its first run, came back, and then this was much smoother. But buying it down there, wow, okay, I don't think I could have done that. Yeah, well done. So let's have a look. Ergo is the next one. So Ergo, yeah, this is interesting, isn't it? What's happening with this? We have seen a short-term double top, which is when the market makes like an M shape, and that's usually a trend-ending signal, but it's only a small pattern. It's not a massive one. So if we were making a big M shape here and it was breaking below this 3.93 level, then there'd be cause for concern. Now that is massive. This is absolutely massive, the support. Look, resistance comes back to support. So that is crazy big, that support level. But at the moment it's gone for the high and backed off it, which again is a shame. But what a breakout play we got coming for this. I mean, when it takes that out, this is going to literally explode because there's so much resistance up here. So if the market can get back over that, then there's going to be a lot of upside. So I think this is just a typical coin that's got a little ahead of the game, ahead of the rest of the market. It's having its correction while everything else in the majors is moving up. But I think there will be some rotation, and I'd expect it to happen around halfway down from the kind of this move to this move, like halfway. So about 7.64 or thereabouts, between 7.64 and about 8, I think is a good support level. So I'd have a go at it there. I'd nibble a little bit, and then if it starts to turn up, I'd get very excited because that would make one of these nice big triangle patterns, And then, of course, we've got the break of 18 that means we're off to the races. So although it's pulling back, I think there's still an interesting story there. And I don't think it will be critical for it unless it breaks. I mean, I know percentage terms this is big, but I'm looking at the chart support points, unless it breaks like 4. So if it broke 4, that wouldn't be good at all. Mainly because of the pattern that it would make, and also because of the support. But that's not really on the radar at the moment. The correction and then move up is more likely, more probabilistic in my view. But we will see how it unfolds.
Yeah, from a fundamental level, I can't say I know Ergo really well. This isn't on my radar, especially at these prices. Paul, if you take it off log scale,
Yeah.
for those that are new to trading, the reason why he uses log scale, because it gives them actually a better analysis on the percent increases from where things are at. But Ergo was way back at the beginning of this year. You could have bought it for, like, can you show us exactly what that price would have been at the beginning of the year?
Yeah,
So
0.34 or something. I mean, it was virtually nothing, which is why some of these other coins look so interesting, because if they do anything like that, my goodness me.
yeah, and the market cap on this was in the under 10 million. It's now at 325 million, and it can go further up from here. This could probably be in the billions at the peak of the market. It's just realized some of its gains already, which just makes it, I know we're spoiled being in this space, because I'm like, oh, it might only 5x or 10x from here. I'm going to pass. Can you imagine what stock people would think? Wait, it's going to 5x or 10x from here, and you're passing, and possibly in the next 4 months it's going to do that, and you're saying, nah, I'm not interested.
Incredible.
They would laugh. They'd be like, you're crazy. And I'd be like, well, you're just in the wrong space. I mean, stocks have been going up tremendously for the past, 12 years now, or some crazy long cycle. They're going to be jumping into crypto right now because equities or stocks are starting to weaken, and that's part of the reason we're going to have such a boom from here, because we're not only going to have the people that have been sitting on the sidelines and not coming into crypto but kind of being aware of it. All of a sudden they're going to be FOMOing in and throwing in as much cash as they can, but we're going to get some institutions and some other things, so we're going to get this massive boom coming. And if you're positioned right now, you get to sell at those highs rather than trying to buy at them.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of people playing catch up on crypto, and they're way behind the game. And I got to admit, I was one of those people, because it's only recently that I've learned so much about these altcoins and how technically they are so very interesting. And I've been watching the majors, but just to hear about the technologies and what's going on in the background is really interesting and exciting. So I liken it to the beginning of the dot-com boom, which I sort of lived through, and we just saw all these technologies that the whole idea of it was really interesting, but which ones were going to win? There were some really crazy ideas out there that obviously failed, and trying to separate the good ideas from the crazy ideas was something that the market was doing. But in the first phases, that everything just went up, so people just piled in. It didn't really matter what you bought. But then later on, things settled down, and you might be seeing that in the way cryptocurrencies have developed. We get that first wave of everybody piling in, and then we get the correction. Everyone's going, okay, that's the end. It was just a phase. Now the revival of, actually, this is some seriously interesting technology, and we've got to give it another look, because we're going to get left behind. So everything seems to go in those types of waves, but these coins are still very early stages. So even with Bitcoin, you're still very early into it, really, because it's not in the general public's discussion, and in my view. But anyway,
Yeah, and it's about to be. As it breaks 100,000, you will see every person you ever talk to about crypto, and you're trying to convince them to buy it when it was cheap at 7,000, if you were here back then, or even at 40,000. 40,000 will seem cheap. All of a sudden, they're going to be calling you, and then you'll have the pleasure of trying to explain to them, sure, you can buy now, but it would have been a lot better if you had bought then. And that's just the psychology of human behavior. We all come in after massive green candles, after our friend made a whole bunch, and they say, wow, I just made 15x. I put 5,000 in, it's now 75,000. Unfortunately for us as human beings, that's how we come into the space. The same thing happened to me. It was 4 years ago. So I came in this time last cycle. And I made some amazing money from here forward. What I didn't know was to take profits from there. So I wrote it all the way up, but I also wrote it all the way down, which is why I'm going to be covering taking profits in the coming months so that you don't have to go through that if you don't want to. You'll have the information on different strategies for taking profits. Ultimately, those exact positions that you take profits from, that's going to be up to you, but I'm going to share with you my thoughts. I'll also be sharing with you when I'm taking profits.
Yeah, that's an important part of it as well. So when, as you were saying, when things are boring, you get interested, and then when things go crazy, that's the best time to get out. Even though it's hard to do that,
Mhm.
because there will be some big corrections, and there will be some big pullbacks in the market, and we'll be looking at those when they come. But for the moment, EOS, I'm not familiar with this one. Maybe you know a bit more about the technology. Technically, it's very much in the middle of a range and not doing a whole lot. It's had this great big move up here in March 18. I'm on a weekly chart. I'm just going to move
Mhm.
over to a daily chart and see if we can get a bit more data, so get a bit more, uh, look a bit closer at these.
Now, this is a suggestion that came from one of the viewers. This is
Yeah,
not one Paul or I would have suggested,
yeah,
but feel free to put down below in the comments ones you want us to review next week, because that's where these are coming from, right? So that's the way we can get back to you, and we're taking some time to look at your picks. Now, no more than two. So put two in there. Especially helps if you put what you like about them in there, because I know lots of projects, but I don't know all of them. There's like 30,000 cryptocurrency projects out there. I don't even try to know all of them. So some you might suggest I'm not even aware of. But if you put them in there and you're respectful, we will cover it and we will include it in next week's show. And at some point, we'll move to a live stream that you can then just join us live and make some suggestions there, and we'll cover some things live. But for now, just put them in the comments below. And I know we also have a Telegram channel, and every one of you probably wants to jump into that. I would if I were you, because that's where I can interact with you on a more frequent basis. If you suggest it to me in the Telegram channel, I will tell you to go back to this video and place it in there, because before this video starts, I jump on there, or one of my admins does, grabs all the suggestions, and that's what puts it on the docket for us to review in the next video.
yeah, absolutely. So this is one on the radar that we need to wait for it to become a bit more interesting. But I do like the way it's making this pattern of lows. So the low is like a saucer, a rounding base, but the time scale of it is quite large. So what I mean by that is, if this is a base and it's gearing up to go, it still might take a little while before it actually does start to break out. Now, it's got the best chance now with everything else moving. So if it can get over 6, 7.5 would be really great. Then we could be off to the races with this particular coin. But as it stands here, it still looks like it's kind of in its consolidation phase, and I want to see it show a bit more energy, a greater increase in the rate of this upward trend. There's a lot of resistance that it's got to get through. So there's prior resistance here at like 5.4. Then it's got resistance again at 5.57, and then resistance at 6.28, and then it's got resistance above that at 8.5, and then all the way up here at 14. So it has some work to break out, but it could still do that. It's just that other things are moving a little bit quicker and are already moving, and it's also not like it's hitting lows and getting super cheap either. So it's kind of going sideways. So my psychology is, if this is a train, do I want to be on it? And at the moment, not quite yet. But if it starts to move, I'll be ready to jump on. There are some other things that are moving a bit quicker that seem a little bit more exciting, but I never write something off, because things can change and do change, and that's the only rule that you have in the markets.
Yeah, this doesn't fit my investment profile at all. EOS came out years ago, like 3, 4 years ago. They raised like $1 billion in funds, and their developers, from what I could tell as an investor, got really lazy because they were rich based off the funds that they raised.
Oh, wow.
Their development has some bugs and everything. My guess is EOS ends up in the ash heap of history as something that could have happened that never did. Just like Tron will probably end up in that same ash heap. And so I stay away from EOS for a long-term investment. If I saw a breakout that I could ride and get 30% in a couple days, I would still trade it like that. But this isn't one that makes my long-term portfolio. I guess I had a small amount of it a couple of years ago, but I didn't see the development coming out on it, and I still don't see that to today. It has me very worried. There are other projects that have similar market caps to this, because this has a market cap of 4.5 billion, and the rising tide raises all boats. So yeah, everything's going to pump in the coming months, likely. Just other things that have more active development, more things going right for it, are have a higher chance of doing much better than this. So EOS, not my cup of tea. I did dabble in a little bit as I got to know more and research more. I just said, no, I just don't think they're going to be around 30 years from now. So I would be open to trading this, but when it's got a market cap of 4.5 billion already, that they usually don't pump as high as fast, and I'm not aware of anything coming up on this that's going to make it all of a sudden do 2 or 3x in a couple of weeks, which is what it would take for me to be interested in trading this. Seeing a breakout happen that says, wow, it suggests strongly that it might 2 or 3x from here, or even 30% or 50% in a day, then I would just trade it for a small window, and then I would be right back out.
Very interesting. I wasn't expecting you to say that, I have to say, which is just great. It's just great, the information you get here. So Vechain is the next one. Now, can you guess what I'm going to say about this? What I've said before about triangles.
Triangles, yep.
Yeah, how I like triangles. So
will you draw that out for people that are brand new and show them exactly what the triangle looks like on this?
Absolutely. So what I'm looking for is a market that is made a high, comes back, makes a low, then comes back and makes another high which is lower than the main high, and then makes another low that is higher than the previous low. So in other words, the market is being kind of pushed into a corner. So it's been sort of forced into a breakout point. Now, of course, it can only go up or down. These are the only moves the market can do. So why should it be to the upside? Well, the reason why it should be to the upside is because we've already seen other markets breaking up, like DOT and Solana, and Matic looks like it's about to go. And the broader index kind of did something similar. The Bitcoin, if you took a step back and put it on a weekly or monthly chart, I was worried that it was going to make a big double top. And with everything else that was going on, a few months back or a few weeks ago, there was that potential. But as soon as that was invalidated, we knew it was breaking up. Now with this, we've already seen that the major index has moved up. So it's increased the probability that this will move up as well. So not only is it being painted into a corner that it needs to break out from, we've already seen the breakout in other markets. So therefore, I would say, and nothing is for sure, I would say that this is looking good. It's looking interesting. And I would expect within the next couple of weeks for it to be breaking this 0.16 level, which then makes it really exciting because we're heading towards the previous high. And if it's doing that, it should break it, it should eventually break that. So I know it's like a chess move and there's 2 moves ahead, but the first step is I want to see it break this resistance line. It's got 1, 2, 3, 4 occasions when it's tried. But if it gets through that, then it puts the 0.16 into play, and then it puts the high into play. So that's why I like this, because it's actually, for me, the way Crypto Rainn says when markets are low and they're boring, this for me, it's sideways and boring, waiting to wake up. And I want to see that big green candle that says, wow, somebody's just suddenly woken this up and it's ready to trend.
Exactly. So this one that's on your radar, looking for a break up, and once it does, you'd put your position in. So right now, from here, it could break through this line, or it could break down. We don't know how it's going to play out. This one, fundamentally, I've liked for a long time. I don't currently hold any. If it came back and tested that lower support line, I would absolutely buy. I didn't have a lot of funds free because there were so many good deals back when this touched that lower support line at just under, at like 5 cents. And so I love where the pricing is at, because if you think about it, even at 12 cents, it's 60% off from its previous all-time high. Is it likely to break that previous all-time high? It's likely to not only break it, but to go a lot higher than there. And so they have a solid team, solid backing on this, solid community. By holding the token, you also get VThor tokens, so you get some passive income with it. And so it broke some pretty significant numbers back in May, and it's just had to cool down and consolidate. But we have this huge tidal wave coming that will first come into Bitcoin, then it will roll into the larger cap alts, and then the small cap alts. And this one's kind of between a blue chip and a small cap alt. Let me pull you up what the market cap is on this. The market cap's at 7.8 billion, so it's not like a 20 billion blue chip alt, but it's definitely a larger cap alt on the smaller side of it these days. So could it go 10x from here? It could. That's probably the high point of what I think it could do from here. That's why if it comes back to this lower trend line and it hits about half of where it's at, or a little bit, that might be about 8 cents. So it'll come down a little bit cheaper. That'll put its market cap at about 5.5 billion. Then it's way more likely to go 10 to 15x from there. Plus, you get some passive income from the VThor token. So this one's not a bad one, especially for those that like the blue chips, and you don't have as much risk with the blue chips as you do with the really low-priced altcoins that the team could get mad at each other, break up, and the whole project goes to zero on some of these really low-cap altcoins. But for now, with this big wave coming, a lot of my funds are positioned in lower-cap altcoins in this, though I do have some position in stuff like Vechain, not specifically Vechain. I do have some in Zilliqa sitting on the side that they kind of trend with each other. And just at the time, Zilliqa was a little bit cheaper than Vechain, or I would have put those funds in Vechain.
Great. For some reason, my computer couldn't take it and just decided to
recording stopped.
So anyway, I'm back in now. Is the main point. I think it's just overloaded with excitement. I think.
I can't blame it. I'm excited because when I saw Bitcoin breaking out, exactly like what I thought it did, but when I saw it breaking out, I was like, yes, it is doing exactly as I thought it would. And what I'm good at is recognizing patterns. I also spend a lot of time in my life understanding why we as human beings do the crazy things that we do. We're not very logical creatures. We're very emotional. Yeah. And that's helped me tremendously with investing, because you think things would always follow logical patterns, and they do follow logical patterns when you realize what emotional creatures we as human beings are. When you factor that in, it gives you a much greater ability to predict human behavior.
Yeah, absolutely. I would second that and third that, because it's the more you understand about human psychology, the more you understand about the markets. And for me, when I'm looking at charts, I'm actually looking at human psychology. I'm looking at, are the traders bullish? Are they bearish? Are they panicking? Are they panicking in or panicking out? And, what is the general sentiment? And those are the questions that I get answered by looking at a chart. Now, you could read around the fundamentals, and for me, that's not as an interesting proposition as quickly looking at a chart, which I'm going to end up trading on anyway. But, as I say, everybody's different. There's no right way to the top of the mountain. You do it your way and what makes sense to you, because, of course, I might not hold positions that Crypto Rainn likes because I might get scared out of them. And then he might not buy some breakouts that I might think have got a very high percentage. But, that's just the way it goes. So, you should find your own ways, basically, what I'm trying to say here. And you've got a very good balance between someone who's looking at the fundamentals and someone who's looking at the technicals. So, and I would also just say, don't look at charts just because it's inverted commas easy, because nothing in investing is ever easy. You should do it because it makes logical sense to you. So let's look at the next chart then. And so it's is it Spores Network?
Spores.
Yeah. I seem to remember we did look at this as well, didn't we?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so now this has been in a downward trend and has not been performing very well, but it is now actually finally showing some signs of hitting a low. I look for something called accumulation, and that accumulation is people like Crypto Rainn buying it in and saying this has got cheap enough. And this area here is showing some buying because the rate of trend has stopped falling and it started to go sideways. Now, that's still not quite enough for me. I still would like it to be lifting off the lows. And I think the main lows I would have talked about, I hope my previous self did mention, would have been this horizontal resistance, which is looking quite amazing. So we've got really big support here at 0.03. And if it crosses through that line, it would have taken out all this resistance. The trend line, the big trend line that it's been holding it and pushing it down would have been broken. Plus it would have made a base. So there'd be 3 reasons why this would be an interesting trade. Now, if you think it's cheap now and you want to hold it, you could get it at a good level. You get it before the market's broken. But I can't do that. I have to wait. My discipline is wait until the market is properly based and then moving up before I get in. But if you've got a steer and you think this is already ready to go, then that's ahead of me. But that's what I want to look for before I think technically it justifies a buy.
Yeah. Now, I love Spores. I've covered it a lot. I covered it even before it launched. And when it launched, it came out and it dropped right back down. I think that's close. In fact, Spores token IDO price. I'm going to see if I can get the IDO price. Sometimes this comes up. Okay. No, it's not telling me. Shoot. Sometimes I can get it to show me what the initial DEX offering price was. And here's a network on it. It did come to us through CardStarter, and which is a really good launch pad. So we're not able to see exactly what that IDO price, but my guess is it's somewhere around that 2-cent price. Okay. Because that's where it keeps wanting to come back down to. And there were some people that panic sold it below that. And so I love the price it's at now. Now, my audience bought back when it came out. It launched and it went up a little bit, and then it came down to that IDO price, which was a great entry point. It then went 5x from there. Now, I took profits on it when it went crazy, and at 10 cents, 8 to 10 cents is when I was taking profits on it. I didn't sell my entire position, but I got all my initial back out plus some profit. So now when it gets really cheap like this, great entry positions again. And you see sometimes, you get gifts like this where you can buy it cheap. And this is one that I do like for long term. The team on Spores is extremely well connected to the Asian market, and they're going to have an NFT marketplace as well as some of the best licenses for NFTs in the Asian market. And even though I don't know that market very well, they know it exceptionally well, and they have so many connections within that place. So fundamentally, I love it. Price-wise, like technical analysis on it right now, I love it. And I love the convergence between those two. So I have a huge bag of this, and I'm very excited about what I think it'll do.
Yeah, you're getting me excited about it. I think I might have to buy some too. But yeah. I mean, again, this is the thing. You see, my rules are there for a reason, and it's because if I bought this and I didn't speak to Crypto Rainn again, then if it went down a little bit, I might panic out and just go, "Ooh, that didn't work," and then of course it would go up again. So that's another reason why it's really important to follow your own analysis. Have a look at what he's saying, what I'm saying, and then work out what makes sense to you. And also, you're always getting a snapshot. When I look at it from a technical point of view, I'm getting a snapshot of what it looks like today. And that changes. So sometimes it changes slowly, and sometimes it changes extremely fast. So we're in a fast moving market here. Things can move extremely quickly and change extremely quickly. So I'm trying to give you a view that is, for about a week or maybe 2, but obviously things can change in between to make things look extremely different. So this is VRA or Veracity, which is a very interesting chart. Now, I really like this, and This must be a new one. I don't remember looking at this, unless
We have covered it, but
covered it.
it's now formed this perfect cup and handle,
Yeah.
as they call it. And I think we covered it before it retested. We covered it a few weeks ago
Yeah.
before or a little while back. Maybe it already retested its previous highs and come down.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. Okay. Okay. I'm just trying. I tell you why I'm thinking that, because I end up seeing quite a few coins that I want to buy, and I only choose a few, so it's got to look good. Um, but I don't think we covered this last week. It must have been the week before. But either way, this is looking good. This has got me sort of excited that we're going to see an extension of this breakout. Remember the chart I was mentioning before, how it was coming down, and if it came down halfway, it was in that kind of triangular constriction, and then it should go back up, go to the high, test it, and then break out. Well, this is kind of further down the road. So if they're two runners, this is like much further down, much further ahead in the game, and the other one's got to play catch up. But this is exactly what I'm looking for. It's hit the high, hit this previous high, come back off, and then it's gone up to break it. It's been a really smooth move. So I like this. And the reason why I was wondering whether I'd seen it before is because I actually want to buy this. So I want to buy this for a breakout, because it's still cheap enough in terms of an absolute value to be risk reward worth it. And it's looking really good technically, and it's breaking its high. Now, if it follows what Bitcoin does, it might have a surge and then a retracement and then move up. So I think you've got to consider this as at least a 2 to 3 month play. But I really like it. Technically, it looks good.
yeah, the technicals on this look amazing. This one I bought in actually really cheap. I bought in earlier this year when it hit this little triangular pattern back in, I think that was in March. So I've still been holding a position since then. It went way up and then it's come back down and then it's going up again. So I'm just holding on to what I have, and when it goes, if I didn't have any, I would probably be buying some personally now, and I would set a sell order to sell half of it. Like immediately after buying, I'd set a sell order, how I personally would trade this. Sell order to sell when it doubles from where it's at, so I get all of my initial back out. And then I let it ride because it's at a 200 something million dollar market cap. It could, let's see, I can get that exact number, $274 million market cap. It could 10x from here. It could 20x maybe. We're going to see some crazy numbers this bull cycle. So, but then I've got a risk-free bag that I can ride and just enjoy. So if you're looking at how to trade this, the biggest exchange it's on is Kucoin. I'll have a link below so that you can sign up for Kucoin from that link and know that you're getting to the actual Kucoin exchange. You can also trade it on Uniswap. It's just your swapping fees going to be a lot more expensive. So when I have a great exchange like Kucoin and I can trade something like this on it, I prefer to do it through there.
Yeah. I mean, when you bought it, actually, that was, can we go back in time and I meet you then? Because this is
I know, right? That's exactly the type of patterns you love to buy.
exactly, because this is a beautiful breakout, because it was resistance, 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 and then boom, it goes through and you get this extreme, um, you know, it moves so smoothly to the upside. It's just like perfect. So the best moves, they break and they don't give you any trouble. They might have a little retracement, but the market just keeps going. This is what I'm hoping will happen on this breakout, even though it's so much higher. But of course, it's all relative. So yeah, we're buying it higher, but it's showing me that the market still likes it. So so that you've got to weigh that up as well. That the stronger ones are the ones that the market believes in, and that doesn't mean the other ones aren't going to turn around. There could still be much more upside. So it's really interesting. But that's a perfect technical breakout where you've got this range where it's constantly testing this resistance. I like to look at very simple support and resistance levels and trends, and that's why I'm pointing these levels out. But you can see why that becomes so important when they all line up together. When something's happened like 5 or 6 times and then it breaks, you know that the door's been open to something major. So that's a really interesting one. So we're going to look at some on the Sol ecosystem. We've been asked about that. So
Yes.
Solar is the first one. Let's have a look at that. I think there wasn't a whole lot of data on this, if I'm correct.
No, these are fairly new, right?
Yeah.
Intersola is a launch pad on Solana, and there are a couple launch pads. I know this one the best because I have some friends that know the team directly, and that's a solid connection. As well as the channel we made. If you pull it up on Coin Market Cap or CoinGecko, you probably get a little bit more data. And so we made a fortune on this in the Crypto Rain group because like we bought when this was like 25 cents. It went to it pumped incredibly. We took all our initial out plus a bunch of profits, and then it's retraced, and so I picked up a bunch more with profits that I made from it. So I've got a completely risk-free bag. I've covered this before, and I covered it when yeah, it's still not showing the charts that I'm used to looking at for it. Are, okay, Intersola. I think CoinGecko has a little more history on it.
Right. Okay.
No. For some reason, when it first came out, oh yeah, that's right, because it was not showing on this. You had to use like Nomics or something to show it, and it was about 25 cents when I was covering it, and it was tradable through the Radium DEX on, and it was trading right about at these levels at 25 cents. It then went all the way to like $1.75, which was my highest point I took profits at, which was very exciting from a time where a lot of things weren't doing well. And so then it's come all the way back down to my buy zone, which makes me giddy, right? When things get cheap, that's when I get excited because really the principle for making massive money in investing is buy low and sell high. Now, many people do the opposite because they chase green candles, these large green candles, hoping that it'll go up way from there, and sometimes it goes up from there, but they don't know when to take profits, so they end up riding it all the way down and selling it below what they got it. So in other words, they're buying high and selling low, and you'll find that 90% of people over the coming 8 months are going to do that. Don't be one of those.
Yeah.
Find ones that you like that have strong fundamentals, buy them when they're cheap, and take your profits as it's going crazy.
Yeah. So this one is very much like it's there's not a lot of data, so it's really hard for me to say very much about this. But what I do like is it's made a W low or double bottom. So even if it's come from a very high level, which I think it has because of what Crypto Rain has said here, this is a reversal pattern, this W, and that's enough for me to get excited about it breaking out to the upside. So I will say that it really needs to close over this 0.36 level, and that's a buy trigger. And it also has to hold this line because this will be the emerging trend line. Now that trend line could end up lasting for a very long time into the future. So as long as it's holding over that line, then it could accelerate, of course, but then markets come back to this line. So if this ends up being a massive bull market, this line could hold in for sometimes years. But of course, we don't know. It might break it next week because it's not ready to go yet. But it has.
Let me share with you. If you look at this on Nomics, you'll get better data.
Okay.
Nomics with the CS. Now, Nomics tends to do a much better job at getting the Solana ecosystem ones earlier, and you'll find there's so much more data here. So you're looking for Intersola, right there,
It says so.
and you'll see way more data, and then it'll make sense. In fact, when I first covered this, was in that zone where it was extremely cheap when it first came out, and if you'll go to there, and then see, look how much this one went crazy. And I know my audience made a freaking fortune on this, as well as me. And then it's come back into a buy zone. At least for me, it's showing some good support, nice rounded bottom.
Yeah.
I've been entering with all the profits I made down here. Now, who knows? May trade sideways some longer, might not. But for me, I just buy at these lows, and then I patiently wait. But some of my audience picked it up. If you can scroll down a little bit more and show them where, if they were tuned into my audience, they first heard about this, at 6 cents. And it went from there to $1.50. Do you realize that's like a 30x, almost 30x, because it did go to, I think, $1.80 right at the top. But
Yeah.
say you took your profits out at $1.50, that's about a 25x, when most things weren't doing much.
Very interesting. I mean, I hadn't seen this site before, as you probably noticed, but I'm always looking for good data, and this is fantastic. So this is what I was saying was, if it come from an upward trend, this would now be showing signs of it making a base. I'm actually pleased that I've seen it come from such a smooth downward trend, because it's telling me this is forming a really nice base and now ready to go. Now, for some reason, it won't let me scroll. I don't know. I don't know whether it's because I'm sharing my screen or something like that. I'll have to go back to it, but
Okay.
I can't see any dates on here because it's not actually rendering it properly. But
August, it starts there about August 15th, and then when it started taking off, that's about September 4th, when that green candle starts taking off and going up.
Sure.
All the way through September 12th is the peak of that. So then it's had like a retracement, and it's kind of been building steam and going crazy. Now,
Yeah.
Solana's going to see, again, some massive growth, and as it does, these small, tiny market cap gems like Intersola,
Yeah.
and let's see a market cap right now. Let's see if Coin Market Cap has it. CoinGecko isn't telling me the current market cap, but Coin Market Cap is doing a better job usually that. No, it won't tell me either what the current market cap is, but let's guess that the market cap's around 3 million.
Right.
Something like this could go 100x from here easy. So if you're looking for a potential 100x gem from today's episode, look strongly at this one.
Yeah.
Because I'm loading up on it. Do I know it'll go 100x from here? No, I hope it does better. But this is one of the ones that I'm like, okay, for my expectations from this point, my expectations is for my portfolio, they'll do better than 100x.
Brilliant. Brilliant. This is a good one. I like it. And I'm going to be looking at that one as well. So,
Especially since somebody was nice enough to dump down from 36 cents back down to 27, because it's all about the price being cheap. I'm like, thank you, whoever did that.
yeah. And so, yeah, so it's basically,
try looking on Nomics for SolBank.
I will.
Nomics is going to be the place for us.
Yes, the reason why I was looking there was because it's easier for me to use the other charts, and I thought I had a quick look at SolBank, but it must be Solminter. But anyway, so SolBank, let's check this one out and see what it looks like. Okay, right. So we need a bit more. Oh, there we go. Now it's actually giving me the date as well. So let's put all in and see what we got. So this is all. Now, early doors, I think if this is going to base, we might be looking at a inverse head and shoulders pattern. And all that is a kind of drawn out reversal. Takes a little bit of time to form. So it starts with a downward trend, which we've got. Then the market makes a low, rallies, and that fails, makes a new low, which it then turns around, but then not quite ready to go. So it comes back down again. And then it turns around, and this third time, so it's like 1, 2, and then third time's a charm, it breaks out and we get the upward trend. So we're kind of 3/4 the way through this base. It's got a little bit more to do. It should hold at the 0.03 level. It shouldn't go below the all-time lows at 0.025. So as long as it's holding between these two levels, 0.32 and 0.025, then there's a good chance of it turning around and breaking this high, and that would be the start of the trend. Now, you might want to pick it up as it's starting to turn up, and if the fundamentals are looking good, you might even want to get in before there. But from a technical point of view, this is still forming a base, and I'd have to wait a little bit, but it's interesting. It's going to be on the radar, that's for sure.
Yeah, SolBank is about to do an app. What I love about it is it's going to be able to send private transactions that people can't trace. And so the privacy narrative hasn't hit really strong in a while, but it will, again, especially like the Chinese government and other governments try to clamp down, because there will come a time they're going to fight cryptocurrency because it means a loss of power control, and we all know how politicians do not like to lose power and control. They want to be able to see where every one of your transactions for anything ever goes. But sometimes there's time where you just want to be able to do completely private transactions for your own reasons and what they are. And so SolBank is going to allow that to be done on Solana's ecosystem, that you can send funds to somebody and they can't trace who received them or who they're sent to or who sent them.
Right.
And so, yeah, this narrative is
Like
going to do
cash.
really well.
So it's
Yeah.
like literally electronic cash that's being handed over and nobody knows, yeah,
Yes.
that's so interesting. You'd only get that here. That's brilliant. Okay.
SolBank. So right now it's so cheap. I don't even know what the IDO price on this was, but it's close to that. And I think they launched on Intersola, and you saw that they went really high at first. They pumped immediately from wherever the launch was. Immediately, it doesn't even show it having a slow takeoff. And it's come down and retraced. So that tells you that people from the IDO who bought, they've taken their profits and taken them out. It probably has come back down to the IDO price, which is great. For me, this suggests fantastic entry points for my buying method. And I love that it made this low at like 2.5 cents, took up to 6 cents, and then it's come back down to 3.5 cents for those that missed a good entry at 2.5 cents. And for me, I've been loading up on SolBank once it had this little sideways trading area at just under 4 cents. So essentially at the price that we're at now, I loaded up on it. So at 2.5 cents, I was actually fully loaded on this, so I didn't buy some more, though I was killing myself because I could have bought a lot more than I did at 3.5 cents. But with my strategy, you don't often know where the bottom is, and I felt lucky to be getting at 3.5 cents, went even cheaper. It's all the way back there. Maybe it'll go cheaper from here, maybe not, I don't know. 3.5 cents was good enough for me. And if you get really lucky, it could come down some more before then taking off. But they are going to be releasing their app soon, which is why we saw this strong wick up and then some people taking some profits out. So my guess is it doesn't even quite get to the lows it was before it's then ready to run, because their updated, like their app launch is coming soon. And at that point, it'll probably be ready to run. If I had to guess where their market cap is, because I don't know, they're not coming up on CoinGecko. I don't think they're on CoinGecko as far as showing it. They are on CoinGecko, just it's not telling me the market cap, and they're not telling me the market cap on CoinMarketCap either. So if I had to guess, it might be around 2 million or something. I don't know what it is. But this one has some 100x potential, and these are some of the ones I'm taking risks on, rather than things like some of the larger blue chip market cap ones that are at like 6 billion already, right? They could 5x from here or 6x from here. I'm in ones like this that, probably they'll at least 5x from here, but they could 100 or 200x from here.
Yeah, a really interesting story there. And yeah, as you say, if it's only a couple of million, then there's plenty of upside, especially with that sort of technology. So similar story here. I might just see if I can go back to my chart, because I'm sure one of them, yeah, it was SolMinter. So SolMinter, I just prefer this because the chart's just a little bit clearer, even though the data is a bit better on the previous one. Actually, let's stay here now, given that it has actually got a lot of data. What's going on here? Well, we've had the rally. We've had this big double top. Now look at that, the way it went 1 and then 2 and then down. That for me will end the trend in Bitcoin and Ethereum and all the other markets later on. So when we come to the top, it's this sort of volatility, this panicking in and then this reversal that ends the trend. Obviously we're not there, but the trend has been down since then, and the rate of that downward trend has started to ease, and now it's picking up again. So this is a similar chart to the previous one. It looks like it's making a base. The rate of decline's gone down, and we're waiting for the opposite of what this was, which is a double bottom. So that was a double top. We're waiting for a double bottom. In order to trigger it, we need it to break through resistance to confirm that this new trend is starting. Otherwise, we're just pretty much in a range. So for me, that would be at 10 cents, basically 0.01 here. So at 10 cents, that makes a low, makes this low kind of history. and then we should be trading up. Now, I do like the way it is starting to turn here, and I do like the way it's already been in the base. So there are signs that, if you wanted to jump in early, it'd be breaking a technical rule to do that. But there are only rules to protect your capital. So when I'm looking at the market, I don't want to be caught on the wrong side of something that's continually going the wrong way. So I need a parachute to get me out to say, okay, look, I'm not going to watch the chart every day, because if it's going down, I'm just going to sit there and not do anything, and my losses will get bigger, or whatever it might be. So as a trader, I've had to decide the levels where I'm going to get in and out before I actually put the first trade on. So if it breaks the low, then that's time to get out. But we could easily put that as a stop and buy at these levels with a very tight stop, or even let it go just a little bit below it. But that for me is if the fundamentals aren't, if I'm not sure about the fundamentals. I don't know what the fundamentals are here. So therefore, I need a kind of algorithmic strategy to get me in and out. Now, even if I buy and if I get stopped out, I don't mind just going back in again and having another go. There's no rule to say that you can't exit and then re-enter when it's looking better. In fact, that's a really good way to trade. But if it's something that looks good fundamentally, then it may be that you buy it here, forget about it, and look at it in a couple of months and see where it's trading. But a lot of the charts, I will say now, that we've looked at are interesting, and we should really cover them again, if not next week, but definitely the week after, because we need to definitely get an update on all of them, because there's some really good picks from you and from Crypto Rainn that just need updating. So this is a good one. Really like it. And as I say, it's not a buy now, but I definitely wouldn't turn my back on it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is again one that we covered just back in September. And so the audience did amazing for the ones that jumped into this. And it's a little bit of pain. You have to get a wallet that works on Radium. And then some of these you have to swap from Solana into them, or some you have to swap your Solana to USDC on the Solana ecosystem to then be able to swap into them. And that's part of the difficulty with these early tokens. But as they get listed then on bigger exchanges, it makes it easier to buy. Then they realize some of those gains, and that's what gives them 100x potential. Is they're a little bit hard to buy. Some people don't do any of that. They're not willing to, and so they're only playing with tokens that can 2x or 5x or 10x. To get the really big gains, it is harder, and you have to figure out how to use the Radium wallet and get yourself a Solana wallet. You then have to buy Solana on, say, Binance or Kucoin, and then you got to send it over to your Solana wallet, and then you've got to figure out how to make the trade on Radium. But I know a bunch of my audience did. They made amazing profits on it, and I took out some profits on this above 3 cents. We were buying way back here for cheap. Took out some at 3 cents and above, and then I've been using those profits to buy back in at these ridiculously low prices. So where the bottom is, I don't know. Maybe it hit it at this little window here, maybe not. But yeah, it might come back down to that point again, or maybe not quite to that point before it's ready to run. But I kind of look at what happened here, and Solana was getting a little bit heated early. Everyone was like, oh, Solana's the next big thing, and Solana itself saw this big jump, and then it had so much activity, it actually crashed Solana, and they had to shut it down for a day. And that's when we see this peak happen, and then people are like, oh my gosh, and they get scared. And so have you ever been racing your friends or something, and they say, on your mark, get set, and then you actually jump the gun a little bit, and then you have to kind of step back to the starting line, and then they start it over? That's kind of what we've seen from these Solana ecosystem ones, is that. And so I think they're kind of getting reset, and they're getting ready on that start line to have some more massive gains. And so my audience, we've been really lucky that we took some rides on these, pulled our initials out, some gains. Now, I don't know if all of you pulled your initial out. It's always smart to set even a point that you're going to take out your initial so that your risk goes way down. I sometimes wait till at 3 or 5 or 10x's, depending on what I'm expecting out of it, before I pull my initial out. That way I have a worry-free bag to ride. And I think I pulled out mine, it wasn't to 10x for sure, at like 3 cents, and then a little bit more at 5 cents. Happened to get lucky. I didn't know that was the top. and took out my initial and then some gains. And so that gave me some liquid cash to buy back in as it's been coming back. And I didn't know if that would happen, but that's why I pull some out when it does really good, because you don't know at some point something could interrupt it and stop it. And that's exactly what happened.
Amazing, amazing. So the marriage of Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies and charts together, the two things that I'm most excited about. I always look forward to these weekly sessions. So, thank you for all your suggestions, and thank you for, having me back on the show. And we look forward to another interesting week in cryptocurrency. So thank you so much, Crypto Rainn.
Paul, it's been a pleasure, and we want to thank Definity for lending you to us. They are kind enough to lend us Paul. And what we'd like to do is we go to a live stream at least a couple times a week in the coming weeks, is maybe have Paul join us on a regular basis, because you're going to see a lot of breakouts. And my system works really well for stocking up when it's boring. But as we start hitting breakouts, for those that are interested, there's going to be a lot more swing trades, a lot more quicker trades that you're seeing a breakout. And trading breakouts is fun. There hasn't been a massive trend where it was just like breakout after breakout since February and March. But that trend is coming again. And it's going to be full of adrenaline. It's going to be thrilling and scary at the same time. So we'd like to update the format at some point so we can make the best use of Paul's amazing skills, because that's what he does, is identify these swings that he holds them for shorter periods of time than me. And we're going to be playing into a market where that is a very, very profitable strategy, and that's coming very soon. Thank you, Paul. We really appreciate you joining us.
My pleasure. Thank you, guys.
All right. Isn't this exciting what's going on? Now, I'm curious for you, and I know I've asked this before and some of you responded, and I appreciate it. What is life-changing wealth for you? It's different for everyone. It has to do with what cost of living is, what the expectations are. And the bigger you can imagine, the better, because it helps you start to set goals for yourself. So for me, life-changing wealth was actually over $2 million. I have a lot higher expectations for that now, but back when I was making my plans for where I wanted to be 3 years ago, that was the most that I could see. I already hit that number. And so I actually read about 12 months ago a book by Grant Cardone on 10x your results. And I was reading that book and I was like, okay, I'm going to set my number higher than that. Then why not about 10x from there? And so it did change the things that I was going to be doing in order to try to reach that goal. And it's really helped grow me, so that this run, I thought, is I've been waiting for this period that we're at for 3.5 years now. And knowing that it was coming, because Bitcoin follows these cycles, because I changed some of the things I was doing, I was able to hit my full goal for the end of the cycle already. And there's still a lot of room to run. And so I want to hear what your goals are, and it's okay if whatever they are. Is it 500,000? Is it 2 million? Is it 10 million? Is it 400 million? I talked to my brother-in-law a couple of years ago, and we were talking about goals on residual income, because I believe in taking the money you make, throwing it into things that make you passive income, so your life has changed for forever, because you can be on the beaches of Italy or Greece for 3 months at a time, and you could have this income coming in. And he was talking about, I think it was 500,000 a month, and I was like, I can't picture that yet, but I want to. And I'm starting to get to the point that I can picture that. Well, cool. So each of you, wherever you're at now, just know that's where you're starting at, not where you're ending at. And I would love to hear what that is. Again, let's thank Definity for lending us Paul, because he's absolutely amazing. And if you personally are ready to level up your crypto game and looking for life-changing gains or wife-changing gains, or to get that $850,000 Lambo I talk about, that will increase in value, or those Lambos that will increase in value rather than decreasing in value. So join us through subscribing as we get into how to analyze projects in ways that turn my portfolio from thousands to millions, and the systems I use to think about crypto that will help you keep your emotions in check, because we are all just humans. We all have emotions. Now, you can learn to use those emotions to help you, because they're not going to go away, trust me. But you can learn to listen to them, but then do the opposite of what they're telling you, as being a very good indicator of exactly how to play this. And it does work, but before it can work, you have to understand it, as well as how to look for these undervalued projects. And that comes through joining us on a daily basis and joining our Telegram group. Now, if you're watching this video and you're all the way here, and if you give this video at least a 7 out of 10, would you hit the like button? If this video sucked, and hey, I'm just a person, I'm an analytical person with that, so sometimes I can be boring, it just is what it is. I think economics and people behavior all the time. So if it was a 6 out of 10 or less, hit that dislike button and comment below and tell me exactly what sucked so bad, because I'm new at making YouTube videos, less than a year. You know, okay, I'm good at investment, I've been doing that for 24 years, had a lot of experience to leverage with that. YouTube and creating this is new for me. So if there's something that I can improve, love to hear it, especially if it sucked worse, a 6 or less out of 10. I definitely want to hear that. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm going to swing you over to the wrap. Thanks.
Came into the space chasing all of the gains, chasing the pumps and all of the hype trains. But like in life, you buy before you're good. Was taught to buy when it was boring like a rainmaker should. I buy when it's down, don't chase the boats that I miss. Cause I always make the time in mind. I sit the one out cause I'm patient like that. And I'll wait for the right time. I sell when it's high, I buy when it's low. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm just a rainmaker running the show. Calculated investments, I don't lead with my heart. The principles are simple, they're leaving a mark. Why when it's boring, just gotta be smart. I sell when it's hype, like all the channels they pump it. That's when I was selling, go parabolic and dump it. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. The time is never better, the time like the present. This next 5 years is a gift and a feeling like heaven. I'm committed to learn, to study and to know that nothing comes easy but with knowledge to gain show. Sticking at this wrong, cause soon will come a bear market. Learning and growing, and when it's slow will be the target. Naysayers come out, Bitcoin is dead. The massive decreases can get to your head. I'm sticking around, the time is better. I'm strong like that, I'll let the others be fretters. In 2 years time the bull will bring back the gains. That makes it worth the effort cause here comes the rain. So let's go rainmakers, let's make it all happen. Let go with the hate, let the haters be crapping. I'm here for 5 years, let's do this together. The time is right, the time could be better. They call me rich, they call me smart. I'm a rainmaker, making my own start. I'm with the future, learning the past. Makes the time fly by, years going so fast. The game plan is mine, I'll own it now. When I reach the top, haters asking me how. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck. Haters be hating, the time to slow down. Addressing what they say when I'm wearing my crown. They're chasing green candles like someone who was new. I got a vision that was bigger, helping me to push through. I'm still human and sometimes it is rough. And that's what makes me special, simply I stay tough. Cause I'm a rainmaker, investments I love. And I follow what I learn, not relying on luck.